My approach to improvisation is very, very inspired by the world of jazz tuition. As I said in the interview part of this thing, that I'm a rock player, but I picked up a lot of tuitional ideas, educational ideas from the world of jazz. Not necessarily from the guitar world either, but I got a lot of inspiration from how saxophone players, for instance, approach learning about improvisation. For me, improvisation is not a singular skill. It's not like here's picking, here's legato, here's bending. Those are all kind of compartmentalized things. The world of improvisation is very vast and very broad. Improvisation encompasses anything you know about music and anything that you can do on the instrument. It encompasses your time feel, your technique, your knowledge of the fretboard, your oral skills, your ear training skills. All these things come together in one big melting pot and create what we consider an improvisation. So as I said, I'm largely inspired by the jazz world. And what I mean by that is I do not only try to represent the rhythm and the key center of a piece of music, I also try to represent each individual chord. And I've picked out a little chord progression here that I'm going to loop in a second. It consists of D major, A major, B minor, and G major. And I do not play over that chord progression just by picking a key, such like my B minor box, like some rock guitar players would do, but I make note choices based on each of the individual chords. So a lot of people would approach playing over a track like this by playing in a singular key. Here's how that would sound. For me, that approach lacks direction. Yes, it represents the rhythm of the piece and it represents the key. It's in the correct key, but it doesn't sound 100% right to me. So what I do instead is I try to solo over each of the chords individually. So here's how that could sound. Exercise that I want to recommend you is that you play root notes over each individual chords, then play the thirds over each individual chord, and then play the fifth over each individual chord. Here's how that sounds like. This is a question I get a lot. Chromaticism is a thing that a lot of people seem to be very interested in. How do I break this down? I would say that the essence of chromaticism is to stick the landing. You gotta land on a quote-unquote good note. And the other principle for me is to be kind of systematic about it. If it's just random, if it's gibberish, it's very hard for the listener to latch onto it. So I try to apply some kind of logic to my chromatic lines. One of the chromatic lines I like to play sounds something like this. All right, let me break this lick down for you. First of all, it's important to know that this goes over an A minor 7 chord. I play an A minor 7 11. You could also play an A minor 7 with a ninth on top, or just a straight A minor 7. The line starts on G on the B string, then I go 2 notes down chromatically, then I grab the E flat here, or here, depending on where you like it more, and move up to the E. So that's the set of notes. Or if you want to play it in 1 string. Now, why does this work? So first of all, I think of the target note first in this instance. I think how I want to target the 5th of the chord. That's the E here on the B string. And then I reverse engineer the lick. Then I think to myself, I'm going to start 2 diatonic notes above my target note. Diatonic meaning notes of the scale, in this case, A Dorian. That gives us the G. From there, I move down 2 notes chromatically, and then I target my target note chromatically from below by half step. Now the cool thing is, if you understand this principle, you can apply it to different parts of the scale. Let's say I want to target the minor 3rd now. Then I can start 2 diatonic notes from above, just like previously, which gives us the 5th. Go down 2 chromatic notes, and then target my note a half step from below my target note. Gives us this. You can also target the 7th. In this case, I start on the 9th, go down 2 chromatic notes, and approach from below. And that gives us the whole thing, which is and it's almost like a sequence that you can move through the entire scale and gives you a ton of material to work with from one core idea. Open-voiced triads or widespread triads, whatever you want to call them, they're one of my favorite devices to use. So usually when we talk about triads, we talk about closed voice triads very often. In the case of G major, that would be G, B, and D. That gives you the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. Right? That's your standard affair. Now what happens if you spread these notes out? So instead of going 1, 3, 5, but you go 1, 5, 3 instead. You get this, and you get this sound when you play it as a chord, as opposed to this, which sounds much more tame, right? Much more conservative. Versus. And as with closed voice triads, where you can get different inversions, you can get these with open voice triads as well. So that would be, yeah, these sound really beautiful. And now I've laid down a little track here. Everybody knows this one. This is the chord progression to Little Wing, and I'm going to try to play some of these inversions over the track of Little Wing. So, of course, I'm a guitar player primarily. It's in my DNA, it's in my blood. But I do love to sing. And I've been singing for about 7 years now. Been taking vocal lessons from day one. And I approach it very similar to the guitar, to be honest. I did quite a lot of practice. I sought out good tuition, reliable information. That was always important for me. And I essentially do the same thing as with the guitar. I try to identify problems and solve them. I feel like on guitar, a lot of people tend to be stuck at the same level at a certain point in their development for the rest of their lives. And the only way to get out of that is for me to specifically address problems. I try to do the same with singing. So being a guitar player and being fairly experienced in that field has definitely helped me approach a new instrument such as the voice. Yes, it's a huge overlap there for sure. Now, when it comes to the recording of the vocals of my new album, Maze of My Mind, as was mentioned in the question, I actually had my voice teacher at the time FaceTime me while I was recording some of the vocals. So we went to those extremes, like we're trying to, tune my vowels, get the placement of the notes right, and he was giving me real-time feedback as I was recording these things. That was definitely an invaluable experience. Well, yeah, this is definitely something I like to do. I like to use the neck pickup for fast picking. I feel like it emphasizes the pick attack a little bit more. So if I play fast and I pick a line like, I don't know, something like that, a little scalar line, I can definitely do that with a bridge pickup too. It's not a problem, but I feel like I really enjoy that extra pick attack that the neck pickup provides me. Now what I played here, let me break that down really quick. It's a very simple scalar phrase, but it's very fast and fluid because I actually economy pick it. I don't alternate pick this one. Goes something like this. I hope that's what I played. The picking pattern here is what's really interesting. It's down, up, down, down, up, down. So down, up, down, down, up, down. And you really don't want to do discrete downstrokes. You want to glide through the strings with one stroke. And that gives it that kind of supernatural, super fluid sound, right? And yeah, I would definitely practice it with a bridge pickup as well. You got to be able to do it both, in my opinion. If you rely on the pickup for the sake of ease, that's not a good place to be in. Because someday somebody will hand you a guitar with only a bridge pickup. You want to be able to do that as well. I'm going to give you an example where the bridge pickup sounds way better than the neck pickup for me. So it's something like this, a Steve Morse kind of thing. Yeah, something like that. It's very percussive, it's very in your face, and I feel like playing this with the neck pickup kind of sounds cool as well, but I prefer that with the bridge pickup figure. So what I do here, the trick is, it's not really a specific lick as much as it is a concept. I pick 3 notes on the A string, and then I pick a high note on the G string. And it doesn't even matter so much what the notes are on the A string, as long as they're really tight and aggressive and muted, and then you sustain a note on the G string. So in this case, let's say we're in the key of G minor. We start on the 4th here on the A string. Go down go up 2 chromatic notes, starting on an upstroke in my case, and then really aggressively hit the B flat on the G string. Yeah? And if you're a more experienced player, you can take a scale such as G mixolydian, apply the principle to that. And don't forget the stank phase.